NEC Article 430.24 states that each motor connected to a circuit shall be counted as one motor. This means you need to consider all 22 boat lift motors when calculating the total load, initially. NEC Article 430.32b addresses intermittent motors. It says that where intermittent motors are used, the current for such motors shall be assumed to be 60% of the nameplate rating unless a smaller value is recommended by the manufacturer. This allows for a reduction in the calculated load due to the intermittent nature of the boat lift. Now, let's walk through the calculations to determine if wiring all 22 boat lifts to a single 100 amp circuit is feasible. The calculation is as follows: total load equals the number of motors, which is 22, multiplied by the horsepower per motor, which is 1, multiplied by the intermittent use factor, which is 60%, multiplied by the conversion factor from horsepower to watts, which is 746 watts per horsepower, and finally, divided by the circuit voltage, which is 208 volts. Therefore, total load equals 22 motors times 1 horsepower per motor times 0.60 times 746 watts per horsepower divided by 208 volts. This results in approximately 54.5 amps. Based on this calculation, the total calculated load is 54.5 amps. Since this is less than the 100 amp capacity of the circuit, it appears that wiring all the lifts to a single 100 amp circuit could be acceptable. However, there is a crucial note. The calculation is based on the assumption that no more than 3 boat lifts will be in use at the exact same time. If the likelihood of more than 3 lifts operating simultaneously exists, the circuit size may need to be increased to accommodate the higher potential load. Consider the scenario where you want to account for the possibility of more than 3 lifts operating at the same time. You would need to adjust the calculation based on the maximum number of lifts that could realistically operate concurrently. For example, if you anticipate a maximum of 5 lifts operating at the same time, you would need to recalculate the load based on that number. Here is how you would do that. Firstly, determine the full load amperage of a single 1 horsepower motor at 208 volts. To do this, you can refer to NEC Table 430.248, which provides the full load currents for single-phase alternating current motors. For a 1 horsepower motor at 208 volts, the full load current is approximately 5.2 amps. Secondly, calculate the load for the maximum number of simultaneous operating motors, assuming they are running at 60% of their full load amperage due to intermittent use. If we assume 5 motors, the calculation would be 5 motors times 5.2 amps per motor times 0.60, resulting in 15.6 amps. Thirdly, account for the remaining motors that are not operating simultaneously. In this case, that's 22 total motors minus the 5 operating simultaneously, which equals 17 motors. Since these motors are not expected to be running at the same time, we can apply a diversity factor. A common practice is to assume that only a small percentage of these motors might be drawing current, perhaps to maintain position or due to brief use. A reasonable assumption could be 25% of their full load amperage. Therefore, the calculation would be 17 motors times 5.2 amps per motor times 0.25, which results in 22.1 amps. Fourthly, add the load from the simultaneous operating motors and the diversified load from the remaining motors to determine the total load and the circuit. The total load would be 15.6 amps plus 22.1 amps, which equals 37.7 amps. Fifthly, consider adding a safety factor. It's always prudent to add a safety factor to account for unforeseen circumstances or future expansion. A common safety factor is 25%. To apply this, multiply the total load by 1.25. In this case, 37.7 amps times 1.25 equals 47.13 amps. Sixthly, check the calculated load against the circuit capacity. Even with the assumption of 5 motors operating simultaneously and a 25% safety factor, the calculated load of 47.13 amps is still well below the 100 amp capacity of the circuit. Therefore, a 100 amp circuit should be sufficient. It is important to emphasize the significance of consulting local electrical codes and regulations. Local codes may have specific requirements or restrictions regarding motor loads, especially in marine environments. Always consult with a qualified electrician to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and standards. Furthermore, consider the voltage drop in the circuit. With 22 motors connected to a single circuit, the voltage drop could be significant, especially if the distance from the power source to the boat lifts is considerable. Excessive voltage drop can cause the motors to operate inefficiently or even fail prematurely. To mitigate voltage drop, you may need to increase the size of the conductors or consider using multiple circuits. The appropriate wire size for the circuit conductors depends on the calculated load and the length of the run. NEC Table 310.15b16 provides the allowable ampacities of insulated conductors based on their size and insulation type. Select a conductor size that is rated for at least the calculated load, taking into account any dirting factors for ambient temperature or the number of conductors in a raceway. In addition, the overcurrent protection device, such as a circuit breaker, must be sized appropriately to protect the circuit conductors and equipment. The overcurrent protection device should be rated no higher than the ampacity of the conductors it is protecting as specified in NEC section 240.4. It is also crucial to consider the environmental conditions in which the boat lifts are operating. Marine environments are typically harsh, with exposure to saltwater, humidity, and sunlight. These conditions can accelerate the corrosion of electrical equipment and conductors. Therefore, it is essential to use corrosion-resistant materials and equipment that are specifically designed for marine applications. This includes using stainless steel or epoxy-coated enclosures, copper conductors with moisture-resistant insulation, and corrosion-resistant connectors and fittings. Ground fault circuit interrupter protection is another important safety consideration for boat lifts. Ground fault circuit interrupters are designed to detect small ground faults and quickly de-energize the circuit, preventing electrical shock hazards. NEC section 682.31 requires ground fault circuit interrupter protection for all receptacles installed in marinas and boatyards. It may also be advisable to provide ground fault circuit interrupter protection for the boat lift circuits themselves. Regular inspections and maintenance are essential to ensure the continued safe and reliable operation of the boat lift electrical system. Inspection should be performed at least annually and more frequently in harsh environments. During inspections, check for signs of corrosion, damage, or loose connections. Test the ground fault circuit interrupters to ensure they are functioning properly. Lubricate moving parts and replace any worn or damaged components. Keep the electrical enclosures clean and free of debris. Proper grounding is critical for electrical safety. The grounding system provides a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source, allowing the overcurrent protection device to trip and energize the circuit. Ensure that all electrical equipment and conductors are properly grounded in accordance with NEC Article 250. This includes grounding the motor frames, enclosures, and any metallic parts that could become energized. Use a ground rod or other approved grounding electrode to establish a connection to earth. Verify the integrity of the grounding system by performing a ground impedance test. Finally, be aware of the potential for stray current corrosion in marine environments. Stray current corrosion occurs where electrical current flows through unintended paths, such as through the water or through metallic structures. This can cause rapid corrosion of underwater metal components, including boat hulls, propellers, and underwater fittings. To mitigate stray current corrosion, use proper bonding techniques to ensure that all metallic parts are electrically connected. Install a zinc anode or other sacrificial anode to provide cathodic protection. Regularly inspect underwater metal components for signs of corrosion and replace them as needed. By carefully considering these factors and following all applicable codes and standards, you can ensure the safe and reliable operation of the electrical system for the boat lifts. Remember to always consult with a qualified electrician for any electrical work, especially in marine environment. They have the knowledge and experience to properly design, install, and maintain electrical systems in accordance with all applicable codes and regulations.